Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the KFR SmackDown. In the red corner, Miguel Magusto and Benjamin Button. In the right corner, the Falcon. Let's get ready to spoil! The following podcast contains spoilers for the Falcon. You have been warned! Let's get ready to talk movies!
Hello, Miguel Magusto.
Hello, Benjamin Button.
Oh, God. You know what's crazy? Like, the algorithm's been, like, featured around, like, old 90s and 2000s wrestling clips lately.
Yeah.
So, like, this was just nice, you know?
I love the memes that come from WWE. Like, I don't know if anyone watched the NFC Conference Championship with the Eagles and 49ers, but of course, unfortunately, Brock Purdy did get injured, but then the backup quarterback also got injured, but to a more severe extent than Brock Purdy. So there was a WWE clip going around with this guy in a wheelchair and then someone pushing him off a ledge. Like off a stage.
Kurt Angle, probably.
Yeah. It just said Coach Shanahan pushing Brock Purdy back into the game.
I loved it.
I hope Brock Purdy does end up being okay, but I just thought that was too funny. So, but how you been?
I have been all right. I've been better. Today was a really slow day on top of the weekend that I just had, and it was like whiplash. It was very go really fast during the weekend, then today was just like a screeching halt. So I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
But to answer your other question, I didn't watch much. You know that.
Yeah,
you know that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I still have not finished All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh my God.
So what I do is I picked it up for an hour and then I dropped it. I picked it up for another hour on, I believe, Thursday morning. And then I had to drop it to pack up and everything. And then I've got less than half an hour to go and I need to watch it. And I want everybody to be aware. This is a fucking phenomenal movie. Of course, every time I sit down, I can only watch it for an hour before I inevitably get up or pass the fuck out. And it's sad because it's so good.
Yeah. I'm glad you're enjoying it at least.
Mm-hmm. It's great. And then what else? I feel like there was something else that I watched, but I honestly couldn't tell you, to be honest. So I think that's sadly it besides the Foul King.
Yeah. But yeah, that's expected. I don't hate you, but I am disappointed. I'm always disappointed, though.
Get in line.
Yeah. But I watched 7 movies, starting with a rewatch, which is The Triplets of Belleville. For those of you who don't know, this is a French animated film from 2003. It's essentially, it's not a silent film because there's sound effects and everything, but there's no dialogue really throughout. But it's a fantastic movie. I wanted to rewatch it, so I got it on Netflix DVD. Fantastic. Then after the Oscar nominations came out, I was like, you know what? I want to watch a Ke Huy Quan movie. A Ke Quan movie. I think his name is Huy Quan, but anyway. So I rewatched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom because it's been forever since I've seen that. And he's great in that as well. You know, first movie he's ever in. He was a child back then. I believe he was like 11 or 12 when that was filmed.
He's a young lad.
Yeah, and he's hilarious in that. Great comedic timing even back then. And then I watched a movie for the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die called Atlantic City. It was quite possibly the most boring movie about drug dealing ever.
Okay.
It was really boring in the beginning, picked up in the middle, then got really boring at the end, and has the most unrealistic response to someone being murdered right in front of them ever by someone who's not used to people being murdered in front of them. I'm not going to say what happens, but two people get murdered in front of Susan Sarandon, and she's a great actress. I don't think this was her. I think this was a director's problem. But she just kind of like looks around and then walks off. I'm just like,
there's death.
Yeah,
Walks away.
Yeah, walks away, and walks away with the killer and everything. And it just, like doesn't even look like she's in shock. So you can't really.
She's more
say
like,
it's that either.
I probably shouldn't say anything. I could also be a third here.
So like, it's not a bad movie. I do see why people like it enough to have on the 1001 movies you must see before you die. But I was disappointed by it. Then you abandoned me again on Thursday for good reason.
For good reason.
For good reason. It's a good reason to abandon me. But I went and watched Infinity Pool. I did not do a review for that because if it's a movie I don't have much to say about, and I'm by myself, I don't like doing a review because it's not going to be that interesting. I might get back into the 60-second reviews eventually, but it's really depends on my mood.
If we're honest, it is all dependent on the mood of the night.
Like when we do it together, it's fun. To do it by yourself, you really have to be motivated to do it.
Yeah.
So it is harder to do it by myself, which is the whole reason that we're partners.
As easy as it is, it's also hard.
It's hard to like just not feel stupid doing it. Really.
Yeah.
Because we make a conversation.
Condensing it down and speeding it up.
Yeah,
Let me tell you about these things that are going crazy. The people are neon animals when they're doing it. What?
Yes, but it is it's a interesting movie. It's Brandon Cronenberg, who is David Cronenberg's son. He's got a few crazy movies out there himself. This one is also crazy. I hear a lot of people think it's not as crazy as they were hoping for it.
Well, that's also a funny thing because I've been hearing that people are coming in and just being like, "Ew, oh my god!"
Well, there's horror fans. Horror fans love disgusting things.
Yeah.
One of my acquaintances, I saw that she was disappointed by the lack of piss and cum in it. So that just tells you there's at least a little bit of piss and cum if she's disappointed by the lack of it.
Yeah.
So, I'm not one to judge her, but that's I'm weird. No, she's a very lovely lady, a lovely person.
I'm peeing and pooping just thinking about it.
No, she just really likes horror movies and gross out stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold that against her. It's just not at all why I go to see movies at all. But yeah, then I took my baby child, to see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. This was the first time he could not sit through the entire movie.
Oh wow.
And honestly, the other two times we went to see movies, we were in the theaters by ourselves. This time there were other people in there, and I think that's the main reason he was kind of wanting to. It kind of got him excited to see other people. So for the 2/3 of it, I wasn't chasing him around. I really enjoyed it. I would love to go see the other third that I missed because he wanted to go out in the hallways and run around.
I do want to take my nephew to see that before it gets out of theaters.
Yeah, better than you'd think. And honestly, if he were older, he probably would have sat through the whole thing. It's just he's not even 2 yet.
He's just a baby boy.
He's a baby boy, my boy. But yeah, and then Caitlin and I always try to watch the Best Picture nominees when they come out. I mean, I usually always have seen them. I think I've seen them before the nominees come out 8 years in a row now. Where I've seen all of the nominees before they come out. But she doesn't, because she doesn't see as many movies as I do. So we try to watch them. This week we watched Elvis. It's actually really funny. We wrote them all down, put them in a hat. She drew. She said, "Which one do you think it is?" And I said, "I have a feeling it's Elvis because that's my least favorite out of all of them." And sure enough, it was Elvis. Honestly, second time around, I enjoyed it more. And it's still my least favorite out of the 10 that were nominated.
Yeah.
But I wasn't at the editing because I knew it was coming and wasn't on a massive screen. I mean, it was still on my projector screen.
So it's also your home too, so it's got to equal a little bit of better situation for you.
So like with that in mind, like the editing didn't. I told her it was my least favorite. She was worried about it. And I was like, I guarantee you will probably like it because you won't notice the technical issues I have with it.
Yeah.
And she did like it. But yeah, it was better this time around because I knew the technical issues were coming. So, I didn't focus on them too much. But there's that. But then I watched The Foul King, which I guess we can get into right now.
Ooh.
wimpy, incompetent bank clerk decides to become a pro wrestler. Directed by Kim Ji-woon, written by Kim Dae-woo and Kim Ji-woon. It is starring Song Kang-ho, Park Sung-myung, Jung Jin-young, and Jung Hong-seung. And this, of course, is a Korean film that you picked. I have a list, and you picked the number that this coincided with. And I had seen this before, I believe, 2020, when I was just watching a bunch of movies because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And I really wanted you to see it, so that's why I added it to the list. I think it's a really fun movie. I think it's the best of Korean comedy in this film, in my opinion.
So but you're telling me for 2 whole years you didn't find that song?
Well, I forgot about that song, so...
You are a blasphemous fiend, my friend.
I know, I'm a failure. We're talking, of course, by the song in the training montage, which is also the song in the trailer that I will be putting right before this. I love that song. It's a bop. It's a banger. It slaps, as the kids say these days. And I can't find it for the life of me, and it bums me out.
We're going to have to Shazam it later.
We're going to have to... I tried soundhounding it earlier. Wow. But that was Soundhound, so who knows if Shazam would be better.
Who knows?
But The Foul King, Glenjamin Button. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts on this sport comedy?
There were no thoughts. This was a blank slate for me. I was going in, brand new baby boy, fresh bottomed, everything, a brand new diaper.
Ooh.
But yeah, there was no thoughts behind this. I kind of just went into it, and eventually it came out to just be like a genuinely... Like, it's like a 2-hour movie, but honestly, it feels like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And even then, it's got so many, like, funny moments within it, just, like, naturally funny, like, just exchanges between, like, physical acting and stuff. Mm-hmm. It felt kind of like a South Korean Nacho Libre, just maybe not excessive.
Yeah, definitely.
And what's funny about Nacho Libre in this movie, there was a lot of movies coming out that were like wrestling themed and so on, because this was like the height of American professional wrestling.
Yeah.
It's like somewhere between like the mid 90s to mid 2000s is like the peak. So there was constantly being like left and right wrestling. What was the one? It was called like Ready to Rumble was another one. It had David Arquette in it. I can't remember the other two guys' names, but...
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was 2000. I was thinking of that documentary about him trying to become a wrestler. And I thought that only came out like 3 or 4 years ago. That's why I was confused when he said it came out around this time.
No,
but yeah, you're right. Ready to Rumble.
That was a great movie. They all, if they're not taking themselves seriously, which this one didn't...
Yeah.
They're fantastic movies, or they can be fantastic movies, and this was one of them it was great. It was hilarious, and it looked, what I thought was pretty cool is most of it looked like it was themselves doing the stunt work, like all the flipping and picking people up and all that. Usually they swap them out, especially when they're wearing a mask. But I think that was still Song Kang-ho doing most of the stuff.
When I watched this, I did watch a behind-the-scenes thing that was also on Criterion. I couldn't find it to send to you before we recorded this because I think it was just exclusively on a Criterion channel. But I remember seeing that Song Kang-ho did the majority of his stunts in this. I'm sure there were like a few that were slightly more dangerous that they wouldn't let him do.
Yeah, especially in like the final bout that they had.
The I think there's like 2 big professional wrestling scenes in this. It's his first one, which he's all panicky, and then the second one, which was like the big one. And they are both absolutely batshit insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny, especially because this is like more, it's not like WWE where people are cheering and screaming the whole time. The crowds in this were like more or less silent for the most part.
Yeah, they were timid to mild mostly.
Yeah. And I don't know if that was just because like this is such a low-end wrestling league, or if it's just like, how Koreans watch wrestling. Obviously we're not in that culture, so we don't know. But that made it so much funnier how quiet it was.
Yeah, how quiet. Normally, like, You'll hear like the grunting in like WWF or E, whatever it is now.
For the less crazy moments.
And like you'll hear, ugh, and all that stuff, and but like you'll never hear, like, sometimes you'll hear the impacts, but you'll never just hear just silence throughout the stadium because there's everybody cheering and booing and all this stuff. This, you heard everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, powder, give me the powder. Splash the powder on your face. Where's the slipper?
My favorite when he has that thing on his chest that has all his tools and everything in it.
Yeah,
it made the in the Goonies, Data has that boxing glove thing. It made that sound effect when he opened it. And I don't know, that's a nostalgic sound effect for me because of the Goonies. But it made me so happy hearing that. But yeah, it's so funny where this goes. You know, you're right. It does kind of feel like Nacho Libre a little bit. In a way, less cartoonish than that, but
it's not as crazy.
It's not as crazy because that is like. That is the directors of Napoleon Dynamite, so it has the Napoleon Dynamite surrealism. Whereas this is more or less realistic. It's just because he's so incompetent that it makes it funny. It's just such a fun movie to watch too. You know, you could tell that he legitimately likes this. You know, he starts initially wanting to do it because he's got a bully of a boss. In America. American HR departments would have a field day with the boss putting him in a headlock.
An absolute field day.
Yeah. Like they would make Song Kang-ho the boss just to make sure they don't get sued in the United States. And I just thought that was just like a recurring thing with the boss coming to give him a headlock.
More than once, too.
More than once, yeah. Song Kang-ho is just an international treasure. We said that in the Broker review. We said that in the Host review. He's just such an international treasure.
Beautiful bastard.
Beautiful bastard. And, you know, I love watching him in movies because he's such a good dramatic actor, but he's also one of the funniest people whenever he's in the comedic role, too.
Especially, like, when... Like, I think it was like a week or two ago when we were talking about like South Korean films, and we were wondering if it was just them over dramatizing their physical acting, or if it was
with the mourning and everything.
Yeah, and it just keep cranking them out.
Yeah,
like no, it is a part of how at least Song Kang-ho does his physical acting in comedy as far as that goes.
Yeah, he's very. He's got a hilarious physicality to him.
Especially like when he's under the weights and everything. He's like, oh my God. Or just like slightly slapped in like a harsh way or anything. It's just their dramatics and how wimpy they can be is so funny.
You know, it is kind of a straightforward movie too. Like there's not a lot of, while the action is chaotic, there's really not a lot to talk about. Because it is just like this guy, he's tired of his life, so he starts kind of doing pro wrestling to give himself an outlet for his frustrations and everything, and also try to become a stronger person. Which, you know, I feel like anyone could connect with that theme. But you know, overall, it's a pretty straightforward movie. I mean, you have the one weird dream sequence where he thinks he's Elvis.
Yeah,
but other than that, you know, there's nothing really too crazy about the movie. It's got a lot of really funny comedic moments. I forget exactly what he's saying, but it's him and she's not like a full-on love interest, but she's, you know, he gives her a flower, she gives him a flower. I forget exactly what. And he's like telling her a secret or like professing his love for her. I forget exactly what, because, you know, my phone was blowing up with text messages when I was
Mr. Popular over here, guys. Yeah. Watch out.
And the flower blows away, so she runs away to get it, but he doesn't notice, so he keeps talking, and she comes back, and she didn't hear anything he said.
He does this whole confessional about how he loves wrestling and how he wants to get
that's
into
what
it.
It was. It was wrestling, yeah.
And she just walks away to grab a flower, not realizing that this is like an important moment in his life that he's just talking about. He's like, yeah, you know, this was just... Ever since I was a kid, me and my dad would just watch wrestling, and you know when the Masked Tiger or whatever the name of it was, you know when he he came on screen. It was just a different. She's just not there. He's not even looking in her direction, but he's just talking. And it's like this whole moment that would have been sweet in any other movie. Oh, this is so adorable.
Yeah.
Just this little comedy moment just because a flower blew away.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a running gag too, because like anytime he gets the courage to really open up or stand up for himself, things go wrong. Like at the very end, he sees his boss and he's about to run and fight his boss, but then he trips and falls flat on his face.
Yeah.
It's
a grounded movie as far as all that goes, because he's an underdog the whole movie.
Oh yeah.
And like there's so many movies that just make it so like it goes from underdog to, and then he's like top dog. He's learned his ways. He's like all this. He just stays the underdog the whole time. It's reality. He doesn't improve like drastically in every way.
He improves enough to be in wrestling as he is, but
he's
not
gained
enough.
the confidence in reality enough.
Yeah. And I forget, did they say that he was going to lose that final match?
I think it was scripted that he would lose.
Yeah, he was scripted that he was going to lose, but like he just refused to let that happen, which I feel like in real wrestling would get you in a lot of trouble.
It could, yes.
But unless, the crowd loves it and everything. But when I just love how I think it mainly starts with his mask getting ripped off and he starts like seeing red. And he just goes absolutely insane. They fall off the ring into the crowd, and it just gets so chaotic. You don't even see them for a good portion of it because they're lost in the crowd.
It starts with his partner getting kicked in the face.
That's right, yeah.
And then the mask ripped, and then all the other stuff ensued. And it just went crazy, little bonkers, if you will.
Yeah. It is the most realistic, batshit insane movie I can think of. And I loved how anytime he would get caught hiding somewhere, he would like make up a ridiculous thing. Like he pretended he got a call from the Korean president at one point. He ran away, but then made it look like he was running in that direction. He's just such a goofball in this. And I just, anytime I see Song Kang-ho in a movie, I know I'm in for a good time.
You just want to give him hugs.
I want to give him
an
all
overly
the
dramatic one too.
Yeah.
There's not too much to say on my end.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward movie.
It's super straightforward.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's incredibly fun. He's hilarious throughout all of it. I love his little wrestling friends who are also kind of shitty. At their job, the one he stabs with the fork. And he's just like, sorry, I stabbed you with the fork. He's like, I knew you were going to mix it up at some point, so I was expecting it.
There is like one side plot point that I like. It was kind of like a distraction. What was going up with his coworker? Like, did he find some funds or whatever that was going to somebody's account, and he was getting like attacked by somebody or something by his boss?
It's kind of hard with the subtitles, especially because whenever it talks about that, they go by pretty fast.
Yeah.
What I gathered from it is his boss asked him to do something illegal for the company. He did, and then he was going to take the fall, even though the boss told him to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why he was kind of like super angry. I do feel like you're right. It probably could have been more clear on that. It could also be one of those situations where, coming over to the U.S., they cut that part out because... some things are more censored in the U.S. People say that America is not censored at all. There's a lot of stuff that gets cut out when movies come over overseas. It's usually like sexual things. But with, I also wouldn't be surprised if it was something that like makes capitalism look bad.
Shame on you.
Yeah, so I don't know what they were talking about. It could have been cut. I don't think it was because the runtime on here is
or we just weren't paying attention hard enough. Damn us.
We're both pretty slow readers, so I wouldn't be surprised if we just missed like one line.
You could have just stopped it slow and it would have fit perfect for me.
Yeah. Oddly enough, the Germany cut is 4 minutes longer than anywhere else in the world.
Interesting.
So I don't know why that is. But
probably because they probably cut a German suplex in all the other movies and kept one in there. That would make sense.
I don't know what a German suplex is.
German suplex is a wrestling move.
Well, I gathered that. Care to share with the class?
I kind of just did.
Oh, okay. German suplex. I'm Googling it so I know what it is. Oh, okay. I see. Mm-hmm.
They only wanted it in their cut.
And it took 4 minutes.
4 minutes. It was slow-mo. And it was very high paced.
I'm pretty sure they had other German suplexes in it. Maybe they slowed it down every single time it happened. Yep. So who knows?
Maybe the last bout was all literally German suplexes.
In Germany, they have very strict rules about wrestling where there can only be German suplexes in their films about wrestling. But yeah, this is a fun movie. I'm glad I got to show it with you. Glad we got to talk about it. And yeah, I'm enjoying this list I have, and it's really fun to not know 100% what it's going to be until you pick a number. So I'm going to keep doing that.
That works for me.
For a long time. But that's all I got to say, really.
Same here.
All right, so that does it for a review of The Falcon. That brings us to the judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision whether or not it goes on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden and the host. And also pretty much just any Song Kang-ho. I did it again. Song Kang-ho movie there is. He's just a national treasure. I love him.
We all love him.
We all do. But anyway, this was my pick, even though Glenn picked it from my list. But whatever. You know, I don't make the rules. That's a lie. I do make the rules. I'm still going to go first. I'm losing my mind right now. I apologize. I love this movie. I think it's really fun. It's one of the more underappreciated Korean movies within the United States. And I feel like more people should check it out. So I will say, yes, indeed, it does go on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. But Glenn, I need to know if you think it goes on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden before it does go on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden.
That was a crazy noise that just came out of my mouth. I would say before I make any sort of rating or circumference to the shelf.
Circumference?
I will have to watch the German version to really dig deep down into how I feel. We got to see those
slow-mo German suplexes.
But until then, the best I can do is put it on the shelf.
With the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden?
It's a goofy movie. It's fun. It's not the goofy movie, but it's a pretty goofy movie.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it an extremely goofy movie, but not the extremely goofy movie?
Let's not overstep our boundaries here.
Okay. So yeah, that does it. What am I doing? My God, my brain is fried right now. It's like I did drugs or something, but I didn't.
Is this what it feels like?
Is mayonnaise an instrument? So the Falcon goes on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to our assignment for Glenn Week. My God.
Are you going to be okay?
I got it. My baby boy, my son, he didn't sleep well last night, and so I didn't get much sleep last night, and I'm kind of just losing it. So that brings us to our assignment for next week. Glenn, it is your pick. What are we watching?
I've been in a Jake Gyllenhaal mood this last week, and there's been a lot of clips circulating around the realm of this one movie recently, and he gives a pretty good performance, at least in the one scene, and I had missed it, or probably didn't care to see it in the theaters, to be honest, because of the synopsis. But we are going to watch the Jake Gyllenhaal 2017 film, Stronger.
Listen up. This young lady here is running the marathon for Brigham and Women's Hospital. So skip around Estella and donate to a good cause. I'm gonna be there at the finish line for you. I'm gonna make a big sign for you.
Doesn't show up for anything. And then he shows up.
There was an explosion, and your legs, they're gone, bro.
Welcome home. Is it good to be back?
What are you doing?
Talking to you. What are you doing?
Dancing. You trying to make a hero out of me?
You need to tell your family what's going on with you.
Take my mind, take my pain.
I can't do this. I can't do it.
This is the first time you're in this week and you had 3 appointments.
You just have to show up for once.
I showed up for you!
You remind me of my son. He died. Helping you made me feel like I helped my son.
Stronger is the inspiring real-life story of Jeff Bauman, an ordinary man who captured the hearts of his city and the world to become a symbol of hope after surviving the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. That's right.
Yes.
Directed by David Gordon Green, written by John Polano, and based off the book of Stronger by Jeff Bauman himself, and also written by Brett Witter. Stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Tatiana Maslany?
Maslany.
That's what I said.
That's She-Hulk herself.
All right.
Yeah.
She-Hulk and Mysterio shacking up? That's crazy.
She also shares a birthday with me, so
I think you guys should be best friends, most likely.
I also think we should be best friends.
Miranda Richardson, Richard Lane Jr., Nate Richmond, Lenny Clark, Clancy Brown, and a bunch of other people are in there. But so yeah, this is one I was looking at. To be fair, I was looking at Donnie Darko first, and I was debating whether or not I wanted to put us down that road or not. And then I remembered I hadn't seen this movie, so I wanted to see this movie now.
Yeah.
Did you? You didn't see this yet, right?
No, I haven't. I personally don't like seeing movies based on true stories until they're like the events are like 15 to 20 years past when they happened.
I'm going to have to apologize 10 as close as I can get.
No, it's fine. I think this one will be different because it's a more personal story.
Yeah. So that's going to be on Prime Video, Amazon Prime. The rest of everything seems to be like subscriptions, like a YouTube Prime time subscription, Sling TV Premium, and Roku Premiums. So
MGM Plus, I didn't even know there was an MGM Plus.
Same here. I'm a little bit drooled right now. There's too much information going into my brain. Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Stronger 2017 on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so that is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_film_review. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Keystone Film Review, and on Letterboxd, I am Mike KFR.
And I am Glenn KFR.
And that will do it until next week. I just saw in the trailer, Jake Gyllenhaal says, "Fuck you" to Tatiana Maslany. How do you do that to She-Hulk?
Listen to this. Oh, man. Fuck, I was going to sneeze, but I held it in. Never mind.
This is off the rails. Next week, we're watching Stronger. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.